Absolutely phenomenal morning, guys. This is your Breakfast with the Brand. I'm your host, Shaan Rais, as always, flanked by the phenomenal Bobby Jackson. Listen, let me tell you something. Wednesday is my favorite day. Everybody else feels weak. They feel worn out. They're trying to drag themselves to the event and to the occasion, and they call it hump day. Let me tell you something. I called this pump day. For me, pumped up, excited, I come to events and situations like work and things that other people dread with such an energy and ferocity that people thought there was something wrong with me. I was literally listen, guys, you want to be the kind of person that people see, and if they're not on the same wave as you, they're like, oh my God, here comes this guy. They're like, oh my God, here comes this guy. Like literally, if you're not that outlier, then you're not doing enough. On dress down Fridays or Sundays, or when I came for overtime or even stayed at the job for 24 hours, I was called church, guys. I was called church. I was called church and coach. Here comes the coach. Run, guys. If we want to stay negative, run away. Here comes the coach. And oh my God, here comes church. White shirt, maybe not a red tie, but a tie every single day, including dress down Fridays, Sundays, Saturdays, regardless of what's going on in the world. So I hope you're excited, because I am. How you doing, Bobby?
I'm phenomenal. I'm doing phenomenal. I woke up this morning and I was like, I know I got to run today, and I know I'm going to be hitting it hard. So as I was getting up and I was getting ready to run, because today are my sprinting days, I said to myself, in a world of transactions, you better be valuable. You better be valuable. So while I was on the treadmill, I was just thinking of all the areas of my life that I could increase in value. And as I was sweating and pumping it out, I was like, that's a new target. That's a new target. That's a new target. So I'm excited. It's pump day. Like, it's pump Wednesday.
Good.
I'm super excited.
Listen, when I was doing that, everybody thought it was corny, man. Everybody's like, oh my God, here comes this guy again. Like, you want to be the kind of person that nobody, like, you got to be such an outlier, so different. And I got a real good question for you. Do you want to be well rested or be successful? Real simple question. Like, I try to break things down into simple elements where people can put 1 + 1 and see 2. 1 + 1 and see 2. It's not that hard. Do you want to be well rested or do you want to be successful? Because if you want to be successful, you're probably not going to be well rested. You're going to have to sacrifice some things. You're going to have to sacrifice some things. Write that word down. Sacrifice. Sacrifice. Everybody wants to win. Everybody, winning Wednesdays. It's winning Wednesdays. I want everything. Right? And I'm not taking a shot at you. I didn't even see this, Michelle. I promise you. Because it is wins, but you got to trade for the win. I want you to understand that, guys. You got to trade for the win. You got to sacrifice for the win. So watch this. The river Nile, between the Tigris and the Euphrates, I really read. Like, I really read the Bible, right? So the Tigris and the Euphrates, the river Nile, which separates, that was the barter place. That was where the trade took place. And we're asking for success. We're asking for wins. We're asking for the next level. We're asking for speaking events. We're asking for coaching clients. We're asking for consulting clients. We're asking for the raise. We're asking for so much, but we bring so little. We're asking for so much, but we bring so little. Think of the most beautiful stories that you can think of in these books and in these, religions that we ascribe to. You've got to sacrifice your most beloved. You've got to sacrifice your most coveted. You have to sacrifice that which you've worked so hard for, that which you love the most, that which you think is so important. That's what you have to be willing to sacrifice to get what you want out of business, out of life. I want you to think there's seasons. There's seasons for rest, right? There's seasons where rest is very important. Restorative rest is important. I know about the science of sleep. I teach that, right? But there's a science to success too. There's a science to success, and sacrifice is a huge ingredient. And the thing is this, right? People want it all at once, and you can't have it all at once. There's seasons. So you got to wonder, like really definitively break it down and say, is this the season of sleep and rest? Or is this a season of success? This is the season of the Breakfast with the Brand. We'll be right back. Let's grow. There's slow growth, and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
So being a challenger brand, you're always going to have people that disagree with you, right? Being a challenger brand, you're always going to say something that challenges convention. And that's what we do here. We challenge convention, but I also coach the unconventional, right? So let me ask this, and let me just bring it to evidence-based. Bobby, when you were achieving the 400% revenue growth, what was your rest level like?
Between 2 and 4 hours a night, give or take.
Between 2 and 4 hours a night. And once you achieve the rest, once you achieve the 400% revenue increase, were you able to rest a little bit more?
Yeah, a little bit more until it was time to do it again. But you got more rest.
Right?
Yeah.
Every time you take your foot off the gas, do you go faster or slower?
Slower when you take your foot off the gas.
Okay. Right. And honestly, and this is for everybody to perceive it their own way. Of course, everybody's situation is different. So we're not medical doctors here. Always consult with your physicians. However, when you're chasing something, we were talking yesterday about the lion and the gazelle. The lion and the gazelle. So if the lion values rest and values sleep more than the chase, more than the determination, more than the sacrifice, more than the speed, he and his entire pride will die because they won't eat. They just won't catch the gazelle. And if the gazelle values rest and sleep and calm and being comfortable and tranquil and at rest more than he does speed and expedition and moving and getting away and angles and cutting corners, then he'll leave one day and won't return to the family. Now, do both of them need rest? Of course they do. But there's a season for rest. And there's a season for success.
You know, this reminds me of SEER School. So SEER School stands for survive, evade, resist, and escape. Pretty sure it's escape. So I went through SEER School years ago, but that's pretty much prisoner of war training. That's where we go to when we're about to be training to be captured. And one of the things that they do is sleep deprivation. And sleep deprivation is one of those things that puts you in a very interesting place, because after so long, because we're also hungry, so we're sleep deprived and malnourished, and we're being pressed to the limit. And what's interesting is that you think we would break at hour, say 24, but we're still going. You think we would be broken by hour 48, but we're still going. You think we'd be broken by hour 96, but somehow, in some way, we're still going. So I share this simply to say, you don't know how much you can do until you're in a position to have to do it. And that's something that I think just edifies the conversation, because again, we're not medical doctors, but at the end of the day, sink or swim, fight or flight, die or live. And it's like when you're in business and your back's against the wall and you have a family that you're serious about providing for and an impact that you're serious about making in this world, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you can either hit the books or go to sleep, grab a cup of coffee, or eat a bunch of Jolly Ranchers and feel good about yourself. You know, even though you always feel bad about yourself when you wake up, you don't feel good while you eating it. It is like you have those choices and decisions that you have to make. And I'll end with this. I forget which book it was, but it said that comfortable people have choices. People on a mission just know what has to get done. And pretty much what they were saying is that when you are serious and committed, you never have a choice. You only have to work. And if the work says do A, B, C, D, then that's what's required. But if you are not as committed, then you have choices. Okay, I'll do it tomorrow. All right, I'll do it in a minute. And that minute may never come.
Wow. This is so deep, right? I'm getting so many different visions, examples. And of course, we never want to say things the wrong way. We never want to say things the wrong way. However, sometimes something is said strong, but can be perceived as wrong. Something can be said strong and perceived as wrong. So bear with me. Bear with me and have mercy on some of my examples, because my background might be a little bit different. I've tried to temper my environment with education, but sometimes some things slip through. So watch this. Single parents, children that have to be up at a certain time, go to school at a certain time. The single parent, be they male or female, has a choice. Success or sleep. Rest or work. What's the value? What's the value? There was a time when my parents broke up. Now they came back together, but there was a time when they were not together. And during this time, my mother was a single parent. And man, she had to sacrifice. Let me tell you, I got to rest. I was on the resting end at that time. I was resting. I was sleeping. It was like my mother never slept. You know that? Listen to me. Hear me clearly. This woman never slept. She never slept. She was anxious. She didn't have the best dietary practices. But let me tell you something the woman did value, and that was work. Man, she worked. She worked. That's all she ever did was work. She was either coming from work or going to work, or working in the kitchen, or working around the house. That's all she did. She just worked. sometimes we need to understand the value that we're, when the things we see, we don't understand. As we become older, we begin to see them. Because I can remember, and my children can remember this too, just like I remember my father. I remember him leaving the house 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like the man never slept. He was always tired. However, he still got on the bike with me and rode me all around Brooklyn and rode me from the Yonkers to Harlem and Harlem to Staten Island and rode me all around New York on a bike, but he never slept. And he was always tired. And it's like he would spend nights with us watching the Mike Tyson fights or whatever. And then 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd hear the door. It's like the man never slept. Now, did he fall asleep on the New York City trains going to Brooklyn? Probably, because he sure didn't sleep in the house. He sure didn't sleep in the house. Those we love get to sleep because we work. They get to be well rested. The children need to be well rested before they go to school because they have to learn. However, the parents sometimes, we sacrifice for those who we love. We sacrifice the things that we like for the people that we love. High-level investments. We sacrifice the things we like. Sure, it would be nice to go on vacation. Sure, it would be nice to have a huge savings account and just be able to look at a cushion. It sure would be nice. But we sacrifice the things that we like or would like to have or experience to provide a future for those that we love.
I'm just realizing, this moment of transparency, guys, of what love really is. Because my dad, he left us when I was younger. And my mom, she worked like crazy. Waffle houses and Church's Chickens and stuff like that. Like jobs where you're not making a lot of money, so you got to work like 2 jobs just to make the ends meet. And when I say I'm just realizing what love is, and this may sound harsh, but my parents didn't love me enough to learn what they didn't know. And that's pretty interesting because I'm in a position where I get to learn and I get to earn. And I'm going to tie this up really quickly because it is Breakfast with the Brand and it's not to be extremely sentimental on this Wednesday, but I just want you to think about how can I say this? A lot of people try to give their kids what they never had instead of teaching their children what their parents never learned.
Whew. Hold up. Bring that back. Rewind. Selector, rewind. Say that again. Guys, underline this.
Most people try to give their kids.
Hold on, we're gonna make a reel out of this. Make sure you slow down and say it slowly.
Yes. So most people try to teach their kids, most people try to give their kids the things they never had instead of teaching their kids the things their parents never learned. And the reason I found this so valuable is because an inheritance is more than what you can give a child. It's about what you can instill into a child. And when you show what it looks like and you provide what it looks like and you are an epitome of what it should be, you're not just giving your kid what you never had. You're not just buying them the bike that you wanted but didn't have. You're not just buying them the Gucci that you wanted but never had. You're showing them the reality that's going to transform their future and their trajectory because of the lessons your parents never learned. That you're taking the time and making the sacrifices to learn. And I think that's a really powerful experience for a parent, or at least someone that loves someone dearly.
I get more rest now. Let me say that. For everybody who's like, does Shaan sleep? Let me say this. I get more rest now than I did when I was working a job in college and building a business. There were some times, I promise you, there were some times that I would get home 11 and get up at 2 and stay up until 11, get home and sleep until 2 and get up and go to college. and go to work as an intern, doing college work at work, building the business on another browser, writing the book, editing the book because I didn't have the people, I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the money to pay the people to edit the book. So I'm editing the book while I'm at work, while I'm in college. See, it's the things that you value. Do you value things or do you value people? We always say put people over profit, value over valuation, meaningfulness over money. I mean, this is Wednesday, right? So if there's two perceptions. One is skewed. One is skewed. And one is successful. One is what they like you to do, but what they like you to do goes against what you'd like to have or what you would really like to have. So there's short-term and long-term. Short-term sleep sounds great. Long-term success will give you freedom. And then your sleep can be qualitative as opposed to quantitative. See, when my children were young, I would say, get your sleep, get your rest. As they get older, I say, get your out the bed and get to work. Because if you sleep around me, there's going to be a problem because I'm grown and I'm not asleep. See, roles reverse. When done right, roles are supposed to reverse. So while I saw my mother never sleep, as she got older, she saw me never sleep. And she was able to rest because I understood the value. I understood the sacrifice. And I understood responsibility. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. I said Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Values leadership. There's different styles of leadership, right? And one of them is values-based. So I want you to think, what are my values? Am I living my values? Am I bringing to the Nile River that which is extremely valuable so I can transact or trade for what I say I really want? Because on a spiritual level, there's always more demanded than you think. And it's not what's comfortable. It's always what's uncomfortable that creates transformation.
Man, I even got a story for you on the back end, Coach. Very interesting.
Okay, hold on to it.
I will.
Yeah.
Very interesting. When I think about all that is required, I really start to, and this is going to be more of like a leadership statement, but I think that what makes a great person, a great leader, and a great individual is someone that can stand strong in the face of adversity. I believe that character is built when we find ourselves on the wrong side of the tracks and we make the most of it. And I think with entrepreneurship and with business and with parenthood, that's really what we do. We take situations, no matter what they look like, no matter how they come, and we fashion them into something that is valuable, something that others can appreciate, something that is beneficial. And one of the things that I think hinders entrepreneurs, and it definitely hindered me when I was first starting out, was figuring out how to give and not expect what you gave to come from the person you gave it to. And what I mean by this is sometimes we'll give something to someone and we'll want that same person to give it back to us. And sometimes it just doesn't work that way. So for an example, let's say you're going live. You're going live. And you're expecting the people that are on your live to pay you, but they don't. However, because you're going live constantly and you're crushing it constantly, you're developing skills, you're articulating better, you're getting more equipped, you're putting things into the universe. And because you're putting them out there and you're consistent and you're maintaining social contracts, you bump into a stranger in the side of a supermarket or something, and then you hit them with your elevator because you said it so many times, because you believe it, because you shared it so many times, and because the energy is built up in you, that person believes you and they want to do business. And sometimes we can just get so caught up in trying to conserve the value or kind of like channel the value where we want it to go and get it from who we want to get it from, instead of just giving it. So kind of what I received from all of this when Shaan said it always cost a little bit more, I think another way that you might be able to look at it is you might have to give it to more. You may have to stretch yourself. Like you're not going to be able to give it, so to speak, to just one person and expect that one person. It's a numbers game. And the more people you serve, the more people you help, the more people you impact, the greater the chances of you getting that reciprocal result. So I just wanted to share that with you from my perspective because it works. It works.
It sure does. Now, I watched Noah the other night. And I think about the sacrifice at the end. And then I think of Abraham and the sacrifice that was required. Sometimes you'll have to bring a ram. Sometimes you have to bring something bigger, better, and more beloved. Right? Sometimes it's the ram in the bush. Sometimes it's more. Sometimes it's more. Sometimes it's never what you think, though. I promise you, it's never what you think. And I've learned this the extremely hard way because I'm hard-headed. So I always thought it took less. And I was always willing to give what I cost. But then I would find out what it cost. Like I got a master's degree and I thought that would change things and it didn't quite. So I said, okay, well, I guess I got to do more. And then I got a second master's degree, and I looked at I weighed and I evaluated where I was at, and I was like, wow, that's not it yet. Like it requires more. So I went and got a third master's degree, and I was like, nah, it's still not enough. So the one doctorate I did all through the coursework, I'm getting through the coursework, and I'm like, I'm sure it'll pop. And then I get to the dissertation space, and I'm like, no, it's not right yet. So sign me up for another one. And now I'm in the dissertation process, and I'm like, it's still learning, guys. It's still discovery. It's still discovery. It's still learning. It's still explorative. It's still expansive. If you're not curious, and if you're not willing, anybody watching this with a master's degree, you know what I'm talking about. Anybody on this? Anybody on here with a higher level of education, you know what I'm talking about. Anyone here who has had an internship. Look, LaWan is talking about a chapter in a book. Anyone here who has written a book knows what I'm talking about when I say it's going to require more of you. As a matter of fact, it's going to require so much of you that so little of you is left when you're done. That's not even you anymore, and you've become a new person. That's what transformative means. The right work the right work is transformative because it's the work that makes you a better person. And this is why people are unsatisfied with their job, because their job just requires them to show up and punch a clock. It doesn't. When you can, this is why millennials, I get it. I get it when people change jobs every 2 years, 2 months. I get it, because they're not being transformed. They're not being fulfilled. They're not being challenged. They're not being stretched. It really has little to do with compensation, and it has a lot to do with transformation. It really has a little, write this down. It really has a little bit to do with compensation, and it all has to do with transformation. In the beginning, you want money. When you get it, you realize the money's not as important as you thought it was. As a matter of fact, in the beginning, you're trying to accumulate money for the sake of money and money purposes, for the barest of essentials and the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food, clothing, and shelter. Once you secure those, it's about how much money can I get to transform myself? Like, how much money can I get to give away? How much money can I get to pay people? How much money can I get to transform their lives? How much money can I get to invest in a product or a service that can transform my life to a deeper level? It's about becoming more as opposed to accumulating more.
Wow. Hope they wrote that down. Man. I do this meditation on Open. If you guys don't have the app, you should get it. It's amazing. So I do this meditation on the Open app. And one of the meditations is called Growth. And on the Growth meditation app, it talks about real growth and superficial growth. And when it talks about real growth, it says real growth is, it says most people think growth is this: getting more of what they think they want while keeping as much of themselves the same as they can. But real, they're like, that's what most people think growth is. But then the guide says, but that's not quite true. What real meditation is unpredictable. It's a transformative process. It's one that requires you to let go of what you have so that you can embrace the unknown. It also talks about the cocoon. Now, if I remember correctly, a caterpillar can morph into two things. They can morph into a butterfly or a wasp or some other creature like that. And I thought that was pretty interesting, because most of us may think that all caterpillars turn into butterflies, but that's not the case. It really depends on how the cocoon crystallizes. So I say that to say it's a super unpredictable experience. And one of the best things that I've learned to do when growing my business, 400% revenue growth, growing myself in extremely aggressive ways, is that you kind of just have to be willing to accept who you are going to become before you know who that person's going to be. And I'll caveat with this: that's why you need a coach. That's why you need a coach, because I've seen people in the military and out try to do this without a coach. And I want be careful how I say this. Like, it can go wrong. I'll just put it like that. It can go wrong. You can be growing, you can be scaling, you can be crushing it and trying to develop, and things will go left. So I'll pull it back and say this and pass it back to Shaan is be okay with the unpredictable. Be okay with putting yourself out there and seeing where this takes you. And if you have a coach, have them guide you into where you can end up on the other side of this.
The 4 corner posts, for those who might be a little bit less acquainted with who I am and the style of leadership that has originated from me after years and years of working at it and refining it and have decades of education. Personal brand leadership. Personal brand leadership. Being the person. Telling your stories. Being comfortable in your skin. Sacrificing for authenticity. The sake of being transparent, vulnerable. There's 4 pillars. Self-awareness, self-regulation, emotional intelligence, and authenticity. The self-awareness piece requires mindfulness. Mindfulness are found in those moments of restorative contemplation. To your point, Luana, the rest piece. You find yourself in the work, but you understand yourself in the contemplative space. So the open app that Bobby was talking about is actually a resource on my website, and I put the link in here for you guys to get a free 30 days if you're interested in that. It's also in the comments as well. But I use it myself. So on my website, all of the resources that I use, the things that I use every single day to optimize my own psychology, physiology, and biology, because I'm closer to 50 than I am 40. A lot, right? I want you to be as successful and I want you to feel as energetic. So when you do certain things in your life, you actually don't have to sleep as much, because the sleep that you have is more restorative and more replenishing and more energizing. You also don't have to eat as much to get 2 times the energy or 2 times nutrients from what you eat when you choose what you eat very, 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 very selectively. Those are the things that I'm talking about when I say sacrifice. Screen time, movies, things that are not going to add to you, but actually take from you are what I'm talking about, right? I want you to be willing to come to the river Nile with that which is most coveted to you. Because if you do that, then you'll leave with that which is most valuable for you. We have to take stock of our time. We also have to take stock of our mind and what we give attention to. So if you're here, you already know this. And this is why I always say, share this out. Like, share this out. It costs you nothing. We pay for this to do this, right? It costs you nothing. We give you free all day, every single day, to provide you with that which I know you need. And we don't script it because we want to be our most authentic, most vulnerable, most transparent, and show you what it looks like to serve selflessly. And of course, there's all kinds of programs and products and stuff on the back end. So the monetization doesn't stop. However, the sacrifice is what a lot of people are missing. They don't understand how to monetize free. They don't understand how to strategize service. So they're stuck. And they don't know how to really communicate their value in the marketplace. But you can't communicate your value in the marketplace if you're not in the marketplace. Or if you're in the marketplace to a very small degree, when it's about you. And when you have this concern, well, Bobby, if I give them this, why would they pay me? This has always been my thing. If you don't prove that you can do this, why would anyone pay you? Why would anyone pay you? Right? So watch this. Just like this. Look, this is the greatest. This is one of the greatest examples there are. This app, 30 days for free, for you to see if it's valuable to you. Multi-million-dollar business. Leading with service and sacrifice. Is it for everyone? No. Some people will take the free 30-day trial and be like, I'm not going to do that. Fine. But there are those who are going to sample and say, wow, I sleep better. I think better. I feel more healthy. I've lost weight. My anxiety is down. This is really good. And I'm going to invest in it. Look at your business the same way. And sacrifice that which you hold so tight. Many times, in order to gain and to enable the real winning Wednesday, you have to sacrifice that which you're so scared to give. There was a time when I wondered myself, if we serve to this degree, if we give to this degree, if we sacrifice to this degree, how in God's name will I be able to do it every single day at 7 a.m.? What does it look like? Well, that's extremely demanding. But if it's easy, what makes you different? If you're doing what everybody else does, then what makes you different? Why would anybody work with you? That's what servant leadership is about. I think that's what leadership is about. Leadership is about leading from the front, taking risk, being the person to put it on the front line, worrying about yourself at the end of the day, not in the beginning, caring about others in the beginning of the day, making sure that they sleep well, making sure that they're compensated, making sure that they're well fed. So we give you the breakfast with the brand. And dinner will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Shaan's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Shaan is the bomb.
The difference between sales and closing, I get this all of the time, guys. Closing is elegant. Closing is luxurious. Closing is the most profitable. Sales, high pressure tactics. No one associates car sales, right, the sleazy sales tactics with closing, because closing is elegant. Closing is excellent. You have to be a professional in order to close deals. Listen, when you do this the right way, when you learn what we're going to teach you in here, your clients will be trying to close you, and they won't let you close them for low numbers. So you'll be able to heighten, increase your profitability, increase your visibility, increase your reach, and increase your impact in the marketplace, and be confident and comfortable charging higher prices than you ever thought possible to the right people who can actually pay for them and then say thank you for closing them. I don't talk theory, I don't talk hyperbole, I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G-Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Shaan Rais. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
Yes. You know, I want to give an example of what I'm talking about, guys, because if you get this, it'll transform your life, transform your business. A sample, a sacrifice, that which is easy for you to provide, realistically, will help other people to understand your value. Understand what you got on the back end. So if you like what we give you on the front end, just imagine what a program looks like where you're literally working with us like a one-on-one situation, or my team is surrounding you and building your systems and building your processes and teaching you how to do this and teaching you copy and teaching you marketing messaging that is magnetic and brings in your ideal client, because now you know exactly who your ideal client is, down to the demographic, down to the molecule, down to the favorable fashion, the desirable car they want, the pay grade they want. Like, imagine getting that fine-tuned, detailed comb, so you got absolute clarity and confidence because you know exactly who your ideal client is by name, by number of children, by education, by experience, by the years and the experiences that they've had, the drama and the trauma. Just imagine what that would look like. That's on the back end. The Breakfast with the Brand is an introductory opportunity for you to become acquainted with who we are, what we do, concepts, values, principles. If you don't do this, if you don't serve, if you don't introduce yourself to people with a low barrier to entry, then why would people ever take a risk with you?
Mm-hmm. I think one of the big pin moments there is low barrier to entry, like that piece. And I remember one of my first clients came in on a $500 program. And that is not a lot of money, you know, especially for the individual. They were an established business. And to this day, still do business together, and that number is more than quadrupled, like for real, like 10x and some. And that comes from, I was on a call, very brief story. It's like probably taking me 1 minute, 2 minutes tops. One of the best feelings that I think you can have as an entrepreneur and business owner is for you to be in the presence of a client, and having that client in the presence of people they respect, and that client speaks highly of you. For example, I was on a call and I was just present, and the individual had made this big purchase. They were bringing in an organization of marketers, CMO, everything. And I was acting CFO at the time, and the owner of the company passed the speaking to me. And as CFO, my job is to coordinate everything. When I got finished speaking in my 30 second, 60-second stint, they were like, who is this guy? Can he work for us too? How can I get a hold of him? And she said, that's what they all say every time I introduce him to somebody. And you absolutely can. Here's his contact information. And the reason I share that is because that all started with a $500 like conversation. And now years later, that her company has grown exponentially, and I'm sitting in rooms with people I never would have met, getting accolades over the work that I've been able to do, but I never would have got that opportunity had I not created that low barrier to entry and showed and proved the value.
Bobby came in from a low barrier to entry, a free webinar, absolutely free. with an offer on the back end. And now he has experienced total time freedom, retiring the spouse, 400% revenue increase. What are you really giving people? Here's the key, guys. The key just came to me. I love service and sacrifice, because in service and sacrifice, there are aha moments that you never would have had without serving. So Wednesday, as people say, W-I-N's Day, the problem is, we're thinking about us. That's the problem. When we create wins for other people, that's when we win on the back end. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. Service and sacrifice will be absolutely transformative for you. We built this business going live and touching people and helping people on the Leadership Live Deep Dive at 5. Go back and do your research. Before I had an offer, before I had a brand, before I had the business, we had the heart to help people. We didn't have an offer. The people told us what they needed. That link you see at the bottom, that came from people telling me what they needed specifically. They would have never known me if I didn't offer my services to them for free up front. Stop coveting. Stop coveting. Start sacrificing. Let's grow.